In this video, I'm going to be showing you my 2-rod setup that can literally handle everything in the bass fishing world. There's nothing I cannot do with these 2-rod setup. They're very simple, but they are different. And when I was building these setups with the rod, the line, the reel all in mind, I wanted them to be different enough to where they can like pick up where the other leaves off, but they're also extremely versatile for everything in between. And the first part of that is my spinning rod. It is a medium action spinning rod, and I think this is perfect because it's heavy enough to handle a lot of lures, but it's also light enough so that you can actually throw out really light lures and even bluegill fish it as well. Like, here's this spinnerbait. This is a good example of a, I would say, small lure. Overall, it's a small lure. Now, a lot of spinnerbaits are bigger than that, and that'd be a great one to throw on the bait caster. And if I try to throw this one on the bait caster, I could, but it would be a little bit harder since this spinnerbait is, I think, a 1/4 ounce. It's overall pretty small. But boom, I have the spinning reel. I don't need to try to force it on the bait caster because with this thing, I can whip it just perfectly. And throughout this video, I'm going to be talking a lot about lure sizes. That is the biggest difference between a bait caster and a spinning rod. Spinning rod, you can cast light lures. Bait casters, you can't cast light lures. But with this medium action spinning rod, I can tackle everything. It has enough bend in it so that I can cast small stuff, but it's also got enough backbone in it so that I can actually set the hook on this thing. Or if I even rig a worm weedless, I can go ahead and set the hook on that too, because it does have enough power. As for the line setup, I think this is pretty important. I go 15-pound braid. Now, you could go 10-pound braid, but that could hurt you a little bit if you're fishing around cover at all, or you're setting many hooks. I like to go 15-pound braid. I don't know if I've ever had it like snap on me. And I will go ahead and set hooks on small Texas rigs. Heavier Texas rigs and thicker gauge hooks, I do leave up to the bait caster. But with this spinning reel, 15-pound line, and this rod, this is an ultimate setup. As for length, I don't think that matters very much. This one happens to be 6'6", medium power, and I always like a 2-piece. That's because I'm always running and gunning, going to random places, and I like to fold my rods up and keep them compact on the inside. Now, before we move on to the bait caster, let me actually pull out a tackle box and I'll show you what all I can throw on the spinning rod that maybe I can't exactly throw as much on the bait caster. This spinnerbait, which is the one we just had on, it's pretty light, guys. It would be kind of hard to throw on that bait caster. Another thing that may be hard to throw on a bait caster and is notorious for backlashes, hear me out on this, it's going to be a simple wacky rigged Senko. Now, a lot of people try to throw this on a bait caster, and if you're good and practice with it, you can. But man, a bare hook and a small worm like this, that is right on the edge of what you can throw on a bait caster. This one happens to be a 4-inch version, so I would say you'd be pushing it to throw that on a bait caster. But let me say this, say you throw on a different hook and now you've thrown on a weight, boom, now that's a perfect weight to throw on a bait caster. It may not seem much, but that little extra amount of weight really does make it a lot easier to cast. Another thing in here, if I was throwing this curly tail grub and I was throwing one of the smaller heads, this could probably be thrown on either, but since it's overall kind of light and the hook diameter is pretty thin, I'd honestly throw that on a spinning rod because now I can kind of be more accurate with it. And when you're trying to cast light stuff on a bait caster, accuracy kind of goes out the window because you're so focused on not backlashing. But hear me out, I move this jig head out of the way, pull out the bigger version, it has a thicker hook. Now that's a perfect time to throw it on the bait caster. Now let me hop on this kit. On the contrary, like I said, if I was throwing the weight on that, that'd be perfect for the bait caster. If I was throwing this crankbait, it could go either way. It's right there in the middle, really good bait. But over here on my bait caster, I have this Whopper Plopper, and it is a perfect weight for the bait caster. So for me, it usually comes down to lure weight and how thick of stuff I'm fishing in. And that is where my bait caster comes in. This is my bait cast setup. I have fished this, everything from Texas rigs to Whopper Ploppers to frogs, weedless frogs, all that good stuff. I fish spinnerbaits on this thing. It's a very versatile setup. And it is a bait caster. I use 30-pound braid, and it is a 6'6" medium heavy. I don't think 6'6" matters, but I just like 6'6", I guess. It's about how tall I am. Maybe. But the medium heavy is a lot stiffer, okay? So if I am using a Texas rig with a thick hook or a frog, I can really set the hook good. And the 30-pound line allows me to set the hook good and it not snap like the 15-pound would on some thicker hooks. And here's where lure weight really comes in. Since my rod is heavier and stiffer, that means I can actually cast heavier baits too. Because when you're casting, the rod loads up and it still bends as you cast it. As for the reel, and I didn't even mention the reel on the spinning reel. I don't think reels matter that much as long as it's decent quality, but this one's a Shimano Corrado DC. I just got it. So far, I really do like it. And I think that one's a Shimano, hold on a minute, let me look. Shimano something. Shimano Stratic. I don't know, I just like Shimanos, I guess. I don't think brands matter that much. As long as it's a high quality brand, it's probably pretty good. And I'm talking with rod, reel, and line. I don't think that any brand is superior to the other. But yeah, that's my 2-rod bass fishing setup. Pretty much anything that it's kind of light, I have no problem throwing it on the spinning reel. Anything that gets up a little bit heavier, like a bigger spinnerbait, a whopper plopper, a Texas rig, a jig, and anything that I've really got to set the hook with, that's whenever I do go with this. Or if I'm using open treble hooks, that's whenever I could kind of go either way. This thing isn't so stiff that it'll rip the hooks out, but if you're using braiding these treble hooks, you really don't want to like set the hook much. You kind of just want to let the fish do its own thing. Because one thing with braided line does not stretch at all. So the only forgiveness you have between you and the fish is going to be the rod. So go ahead and let that fish fight and have a good time. If you want to learn more about line and how to choose fishing line, click this video right over here. We go into Walmart, walk around and look at line. Or if you want to know more about bass fishing videos, click right over here.